Alright, we'll get back onto this knucklehead project. I keep trying to finish it, but it keeps dragging out. Alright, so we left off before. We had a cam gear that's really tight, cam pinion gear arrangement down in there. So the gear is, this is the loose spot here, it's got a little drag on it, and as soon as you move it just a little bit, up to there, it doesn't move anymore. See, I can't move it side to side anymore. Put it back where it's loose, and you can move it a little bit. Yeah, not quite. Yeah, didn't move it all. Don't want to move anymore. It's temperamental. Basically, it's tight everywhere. So the option is a smaller cam gear, smaller pinion gear, or make them fit. So here's a brand new green pinion gear from S&S that they don't make anymore. They only make a black gear, and I don't know the different size between a black one and a green one, but they are a different size. So this is the, so you can measure it, put it all in there and find out which one's which, and make it work. Or you can lap it. Now right now, the one that's available are like 350, 400 bucks for these now from S&S. It's pretty stupid, ridiculous pricing, but that's what they charge these days. This one here is one I picked up, and that's a brand new one. Spline tooth that goes on there. Obviously got a green on it for being green. And so you have to measure these teeth by telling you what it is. The way you measure it, you take pins. Right in here. I'm not sure what diameter pin you use on the early one. The late bike you use 105 thou pins, and on the earlier motor you use 105. It says again. Which one's 105? How can they be able to be? No, this is 108, excuse me. 108. Big one on the early bike. So these are the pins right here. These are just long dowel. These are measuring pins, gauge pins they call them. You put them on the teeth here, which hits in the root. I mean, it hits in the I forget the pitch diameter. The tooth is kind of a rounded shape like this here, so it hits in the middle. So you put them 180 apart, and you measure here with a mic, and you go back and forth till you find the biggest distance. See if it's that tooth, the one next to it. You get a diameter, then you look it up in the book and see which one it is. If you don't know for sure, just put something in here, measure this gear, take that gear off, measure that gear, see if it's smaller, or see if this one's smaller than that. If it does, this will take care of the tight problem. If it's bigger, it's going to get worse. If it's the same size, it makes no difference. So that's how you would tell. So if you want to go through all of that, you can. So we can do that too if we want. The biggest thing is I'm going to lap it. So we got the brand new lapping compound we got over in Vegas, which is a B grit. B grit is 240. It says right there. Closer. And then I got the stuff I've been using for a few years now, which I think is a little bit coarser, but I'm not sure. So we'll find out. So that is all yet to be determined. Which one of those two do you think are coarser? Or are they the same? No, we'll find out. We'll try one of each. You can tell when you're lapping which one's closer. A lapping compound would destroy your new motor, so you want to make sure none of that damn lapping compound gets left in that motor. It will destroy it very quickly. Not a good thing. It makes all the parts that rub against each other smaller. Which is okay if they're tight, but not good if they're not. In this case, where we're tight, it'll help us. So first thing I do is take it apart. The breather does not need to be in there, and the circuit breaker gear is loose on there, so we don't need to do anything with that either. So those are all things that do not need to be worked on. So the first thing I do is get this cover off of here by zinging it off. Yeah, that's too much. Go like that. Fine tune that camera. cold in here, so I'm going to work up a sweat doing all this lapping. This motor's been kind of fighting me all the way, which is pretty much normal. People ask, why does it take so much work to do this? Well, I'm trying to get tight clearances on everything. If I made everything super loose, wouldn't have any problem at all. You make it nice and tight and good fitting motor parts, then you have to be, your clearances get a lot closer, your precision has to be a lot more precision on how you do your parts. Everything makes a big difference. So if you're gonna, don't care, make it loose, you can slam them together. Your choice. If you're racing, it goes a lot looser. But I still want a good fit. Okay, so we got that off of there. So, two way to get the cam cover off is you go in here and you wedge it out. Turn the motor over. Turn it over until your cam lobe is next to the case. You go in here with a big screwdriver like this and you can wedge them apart. In this case here, there's no material back in here like on a leather case, so it's a little bit harder to do it this way. Because the screwdriver doesn't really have anything to work against, so it doesn't work too good. The other way is you take a wood handle, put against your cam cover in there, and beat it on another hammer and pop it. Which is what we're going to do. Just happen to have a wood handle tool. It looks like it's been used more than once for this purpose. And then we got another one right here. That, it pops the gasket surface away right there. See how it's coming apart right here now. Back here also. So there's two dowel pins that hold this on. You got one right here and one down here on the bottom. And we're still going to try to wedge it out a little bit too, if we can. So right now the case is kind of flopping over, so put it over there. So let's see if we can look out how did this work. Probably not. Yep. There you go. Came right out. Nice soft landing on my steel bench. Okay, so this gear here is too tight. You can already see the wear marks on the wear pattern of the tooth, where it's tight already. It's already wearing. Okay, so things that we don't need to be in here, we're going to get rid of. So we don't need to have a circuit breaker or generator drive gear. Do not need to be in there. So I'm going to take those two things out. We do not need those. We got our washer in here. We're probably going to take that out also because that's all going to get dirty in here. Well, we're going to try to keep it clean in here, but we're going to take these parts out here just to make sure. And I think I'm going to loosen this up another thou by changing that shim out again. That's a 15th thou. I'll probably drop down to a 2/7, which gives you 14. The breather valve does not need to be in there. Okay, so now the only thing that's going to get lapping compound on it is going to be our gear. Now you want to make sure you put the timing marks back where they belong so that you wear the correct teeth to each other. There's no use lapping teeth in where it's not the ones that actually wear on them. You got to get the ones that actually work together. Okay, that's not the one we want to be on. We want to be over here, right there, boom. So you line up the two marks. So those two marks line up. See, this one does not line up. See, that line goes through the tooth. That one goes through the tooth. Top of two peaks do not go together. You need a peak and a valley. It's a male and a female thing. So when you get the two marks lined up, you're good. If you go on an angle zigzagging it over, you're on the wrong mark. Okay, so we're going to do that. Now this gear here is going to come out a little bit further than with this, up to flush with this. So I'm going to go ahead and try to pull this gear up a little bit with my puller. I had to beat that on before, remember? So I'm going to get my 2-jaw puller and try to bring that back up to flush, because it's probably going to move to the flush anyway once it warms up a couple times. So let's go ahead and try to get up to where it actually goes to. The rotation of the motor of the oil pump makes this gear in here come out, and you got a spring tension on there too, so it's always trying to come out. Except this bushing face here rubs against the bushing face right here. That's why they're made that way. So let's see if this will move up at all any. If we're lucky, it'll move. relatively easy. Find out. Yep. Not too bad. Definitely got drag on it, which I like. Put this back in there and see what it rubs on. Okay, where's our mark at? Over here again. Perfect. We're just about flush. So now we're flush. It's just barely below the surface now. Maybe 10 thou. It's pretty close. So this is below the gasket surface, so it's going to have, it won't be flush with this surface here. It'll be slightly below, which it is. We're basically almost flush, so it could probably come up just a hair more, but I'm not sure how much clearance I got because I don't have a bushing height right here. It probably could come up a little bit higher, but not a lot. Alright, so I'm going to try moving it up just a little bit further. Let's see, can I get that in there? Nope. I cannot put that in there with a cam in there. So pull the cam back out. Just a little bit further up on the height, and that should do it. Okay, now the pinning gear is about 10 thou above the other one, so it's right where I want to be. Put this back on the right mark. There we go. Okay, so everything's good and flush, like it needs to be. Okay. And I'm not going to try to measure the gear because that gear is, I don't want to be beating it on and off again. Clean it with a torch like I did last time, so I'm not even going to attempt to measure it. I mean, I don't feel like charging a customer $350, $400 for pinning gear when I can just make his work. So, what we're going to do here is I'm going to put lapping compound on these teeth right along here. I'm going to rotate it around. We're going to keep the motor straight up and down so the lapping compound doesn't fall into the motor. What we don't want to do is get the lapping compound on the oil pump drive gear. Definitely not down in there where it sucks the oil into the over here in the pump, and not splatter anything else. Because whatever gets going to get wet with lapping compound, we're going to be able to clean. So that's going to be a problem. And before I clean this really out real good, I'll stuff paper in there to collect any residue in there. And hopefully there's no carryover, because we can't have any carryover. That carryover will destroy the motor. So that's when you rotate this around, it's only going to get lapping compound right along the surface right here, which is the only place we want it to be. And we don't want much of that either. So what we're going to do is put this back up in the air again. Go ahead and load this teeth up here with lapping compound. See what happens. That's lapping compound. Most of this lapping compound is not going to be contacting anything. So you don't want to put too much in there. The more you put on here, the more of a mess you're going to make. So you do have to go all the way around it. Here's where we started, was way over here. So this is a lot of lapping compound we're putting on here. It's enough to do 100 valve jobs. Okay, so I got it pretty well snotted up all the way around. A couple teeth are missing, but it'll spread around. So there you go. Alright, so we're pretty well snotted up. Put it back where it belongs. Try to keep it off there with all the stuff we don't want it to be on. Okay, I'm going to make sure that I use a dirty rag. This is my dirty rag. Don't mix these dirty rags up with clean rags. Try not to anyway. You gotta keep cleaning your hands off so you don't get this stuff on anything else. Don't want to transfer stuff from one thing to another thing. So I gotta clean my hands off. Use my little oil rag here to knock that off. So hopefully this absorbs whatever taken off my hands here before I bring out my clean rag and actually wipe my hands off. And preferably I won't use this rag or anything else really that matters, because every time you go from one thing to another thing you want to make sure you don't keep transferring the grit, because the grit will not dissipate. It'll stay there until it goes away. It will tear up a ton of stuff before it goes away. Okay, now we'll put some oil on the shafts here because we are going to be working the surfaces a little bit. So we're not going to leave them dry like we did before. Okay. Alright, so now we go ahead and put the cam cover back on it. Now the lapping compound on this surface are further apart, and the cover doesn't want to go on now. I have to kind of play with it a little bit. Kind of find the sweet spot where it's going to go in there. So right now it does not want to go together at all, which is not what I want to be doing. It's not cooperating at all. It's not going. Lapping combo is not letting it go down. Okay, so what we're going to do is try to move the lapping compound a little bit to wear it off that tooth a little bit. Get to the point where it'll slip on. Maybe. Pretty hard hits. Ah. There it goes. That's how tight those gears are. They don't want to go together. Okay. Now, very important, you got to put all the screws back in there so that you pull down nice and even so it laps correctly. Okay. Alright, we'll get this all together here. Alright, we'll be right back.